Hello and welcome to the first episode of ChiSoxTalk. My name is Chris. This is my best friend from Chicago, Matt Ray. We're just two guys who wanted to talk about the White Sox, so decided to make a YouTube page about it. You want to introduce yourself, Matt?
Yep. I'm Matt. I figured there's just not enough White Sox talk out there currently. We're hot, we're young, and we're ready to talk some baseball.
My name is Chris. I'm a transplant to Chicago. Moved here in 2018, originally from Pittsburgh. Hated the Pirates, decided to fall in love with the White Sox, and definitely agree. Not enough White Sox talk out there. Too much stuff about the North Side. Time to bring it back to the South Side. So, just to kind of kick off our first episode, bringing it in here to the off season after kind of a disappointing first round exit. 21 recap. Kind of when you look at the season, Matt, what do you think? How would you kind of relate the season to your expectations?
I think a lot of people were disappointed with how the season ended. Personally, um, I think they played pretty well. They had a ton of injuries to overcome, and they did that pretty well. Ultimately the season was a failure, according to the manager, according to the GM, according to the players. But as a fan, it was fun to see him make the playoffs. It was fun to see, the young guys come in. So overall, for me, I'm pretty pumped about it. I've watched a lot of White Sox baseball in my life. I think the team's I think the team's going to be pretty damn good. I think they have some good hitters. I'm excited, but overall, I think it was kind of a successful season, in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
mean, I agree with that. I think going into spring training, the players were very much boom or bust their World Series attitude. So exiting in the first round the way they did kind of fits in that mold. But I mean, it was the first time in the White Sox team history make the playoffs back to back. Everyone's super young. Eloy and Luis, which are arguably your two biggest pieces in that batting lineup, um, not getting the full 162, missing a bunch of games. I think that this year wasn't the year, but I mean, it's good experience for them moving forward, especially when you face a team that's in the World Series right now, regardless of how people feel about them. Um, just young team, kind of a just good way to get a look, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would have loved to have seen a full season out of Eloy, because I know he kind of started slumping toward the end and didn't have any power in the playoffs. Luis was. I would have loved to see a full season out of him. I think he might be in the running for an MVP if he keeps that pace. Since he opened up his stand, he's been murdering the baseball.
Oh yeah, I mean he is just absolutely crushing. That's future best player in the majors kind of thing, up there with Trout and Acuna, and um, it's super awesome to see him on the south side of Chicago. So, getting a little bit into the agenda here, kind of I got a couple play. I got biggest surprise, biggest disappointment. I am going to make you put your Rick Hahn suit and tie on here in a few minutes, so I will kick this one off. My player biggest surprise for the season. Wanted to go in a little bit different direction because I'm not sure who you were going to pick, but I had an idea. So I went with Gavin Sheets, biggest surprise for the team this year. Leading into the season, I think a lot of people thought the White Sox minor league system didn't have a lot left in it because everybody, graduated the major leagues with, Luis, Eloy, Cease, Kopech, Yohan. Even if he was there in 2018, he was kind of the first piece. So when everybody got hurt and they brought him up, and looking at his numbers, he batted 250, on base of 324, and a slugging of 506, OPS of 830, but he hit 11 bombs in 160 at bats, and that is a big time power bat moving forward. That's a 40 home run guy. And I don't think a lot of White Sox fans thought they had that left in their minor league system, especially with the injuries of the season.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. I think Gavin Sheets was a huge surprise. I didn't think, honestly, he surprised me. I didn't really know. I wasn't familiar with that. They kind of had him training to get some outfield reps at the, whatever the taxi league was that had during the short season. And I mean, he was all right in the field. He's not a Gold Glover or anything, but the power that he brought was massive, and he's got a smooth swing, and he swings hard. Uh, but the biggest surprise for me, I know it's kind of a toss up between Rodon looking like a Cy Young pitcher for 90% of the season, or Ronaldo Lopez figuring it out. I think I think I'll say Ronaldo's more of a surprise to me because with Rodon, you always knew he had that in him. He just never could stay healthy, and he still didn't stay healthy this year. But he looked like a Cy Young player. He was. I would hope they bring him back, but Ronaldo I thought was going DFA'd. He looked so bad, couldn't find the zone. He went down to Charlotte and had like a 6 or 7 ERA and gave up 1,000,000 runs and 1,000,000 home runs. But I guess he found a curveball, a little more command on the curveball. He can command the slider. And he started, before he got moved down, he was kind of losing a lot of velocity on his fastball. He's always had movement on the fastball, which I always kind of liked about that. He's got a lot of movement, a lot of cut on that, just even a regular fastball. But he's throwing like 97, 98 consistently and hitting his spots. And him moving forward could be a spot starter, long relief, even like a high leverage guy he would be able to do. So I'm interested to see how they kind of use him moving forward. But he's definitely my biggest surprise of the year.
Raylo with the comeback story of the season. I remember when they brought him up for a spot start, and my first thought was, oh boy, this is going to be brutal. And I think he went like 4 innings and no runs earned that first start, and they had a pretty short leash on him. But he's a guy who could spot start next year and maybe kind of piggyback with Crochet as they kind of work up Crochet's, I think, pitch limit next year, because I feel in my heart that Crochet is going to be a starter here probably in about 2 years, right? EST of what, like 2023 thing?
With both Crochet and Kopech, I'm kind of interested to see what the development plan is for both of them. They both are, pretty good out of the pen. Crochet was great out of the pen this year. His numbers were good. Kopech kind of fell apart at the end of the year. But they both throw hard, and they both have tons of movement on their pitches. I don't know. Maybe they're going to see if it depends kind of how the offseason goes with pitchers. I'm not 100% sure who they're going to bring back or who they're going to bring in, or if they're kind of just planning on moving those guys into starting spots. But I think both of them are destined to be starters. I don't know how soon or when. We'll have to get Rick Hahn on the show to let us know.
Rick Hahn, if you ever see this, ChiSoxTalk@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. We'll be happy to have you out here, man. Imagine that if we ever got a guest on there. First one, Rick Hahn. It'd be incredible.
It'd be pretty wild.
It'd be nuts.
I'll
get him
I'll
like
DM
a weekly appearance.
I'll start DMing him every day on Twitter.
I'll get him on Instagram, and our people will call your people. We'll work something out. And looking at my biggest disappointment, somebody who they actually traded away. And looking back on the season, I think if he was doing better, he wouldn't have been traded away. This is a guy I was super pumped about who actually saw as a future closer for us. Cody Hoyer, man. No idea what happened to him. Had a really good shortened season. And then this year, 38 2/3 pitched, 22 runs, whip of 1.42, and an ERA of 5.12. I don't know. I don't know if guys figured him out. He couldn't adjust the bigs if it was video, but that for me was my biggest disappointment for the White Sox, because he was somebody I personally was super high on and I saw as like a future closer, and then trading him away and basically getting somebody who was the exact same pitcher back, who we're probably going to get rid of this offseason, and Craig Kimbrell, tough kind of pill to swallow.
Yeah, Kimbrell was just a real bad trade. I don't know if it's because he's a closer and he can't pitch in the 8th inning, or anything, but I don't know if Cody Hoyer is going to figure it out either. It seems like he maybe figured something out on the north side, but he was pretty brutal with the Sox, and it wasn't bad luck. It was liners every time he threw a pitch. As far as kind of a disappointment for me, I don't know how how much of a disappointment it is, but I can't really think of a disappointment. I have trouble finding a player that disappointed me this year. Other than injuries. Probably my biggest disappointment is going to be Tony La Russa. I don't think I could pick a player. I think I'm going to pick Tony La Russa because he just, he was supposed to have the strategy in the playoffs, and it seemed like, maybe it was bad luck, but it seemed like every move he made out of the bullpen or pinch hitting ended up biting him in the ass. Like a pinch hitting for Engel, and then Leary in right field, and we all know how that went with the Astros.
Yeah, up 4-2 against the Astros, and you got a real shot to put him away, especially a guy who is a better bat than Cesar Hernandez and Adam Engel. I fully believe that all day, righty versus righty matchup. Talk about a disappointment. Cesar Hernandez, man, fell apart when he got to us. But yeah, Tony was just brutal this year. It just felt like the White Sox were playing baseball in 1984, just not shifting. He was supposed to be the bullpen guru, and it just felt like there were so many games where, even starting to the beginning of the season with, I think it was Matt Fry up in Seattle. They were up 3 runs, and Matt Fry came out of the pen and just, I think, got hit for 6 runs in an inning, something like that.
Matt Foster, right?
Matt Foster, Chase Fry, mixing guys up. They're basically the same pitcher.
Out there get just smoked. I was watching that. I remember I was at the gym watching that game on the bike, and I look away for a little bit, and then I see Matt Foster's getting just lit up for like 8 runs. They left him out there to die. I think he was struggling for a while after that, because it wasn't like he was giving up cheap hits in Seattle, ropes all day.
And then just talk about burying people into the ground with Tony. I mean, Yerminator, man. Maybe he was on the downswing already. Maybe the high was already over. But after that 3-0 count thing, when Tony pretty much threw him right under the bus, he just never, ever recovered from that at all.
Yeah, and basically, I know he's an old school guy and is all about the unspoken rules, but basically saying, hey, it's okay, you can throw at my guys if you want in a press conference. I don't, maybe I'm showing my generational difference between like an old guy and a younger fan compared to Tony La Russa, but it's not cool to get thrown at. You shouldn't be throwing at anyone on purpose. It's just too dangerous. This guy just can throw like 102 miles per hour. You could die.
And even when it's a non-lethal ball at somebody's knee, I mean, that's a bruised knee. I mean, knees are fragile. I am not a doctor. Let me just let everybody know, whoever stumbles across the video, not a doctor, but you could tear something up in your knee, and that could just be it for somebody. And to not even have your guys back, not throw back at them, especially an interdivision rival like the Twins, just AJ Hinch, man, that's somebody I think about it.
Yeah, and it's not like Yerman was a guy who's been up for, he's been a pro and has millions of dollars. He's on that whatever minor league salary and whatever they get when they get called up. But, he's not an established player. He might not ever make it to the league again. And an injury, would have been catastrophic. to him.
So
I'm interested to see if Yerman can figure out how to catch, because it looks like Sebi Zavella and Zach Collins are awful defenders as well. And I can't imagine Yerman's much worse if he can, figure out how to catch up to a fastball. He might be an option back there.
What kills me about Yermin is when they had him catch that one game and there was a pop-up behind the plate, which he ended up making the play, but his first reaction was to reach back to the ump for a new ball. I mean, it feels like even in AAA, they didn't even have him catching at all. You might not like what I got for the Yerminator here moving forward. Fake Rick Hahn, so kind of moving gears here. With the offseason, there are a couple big holes the White Sox need to fill. There's some money they need to get off the books so they can sign guys. So we're gonna get you to put your little Rick Hahn suit and tie on here, and so kind of yay, nay, or add to a trade. I have 3 trade ideas that I think are pretty interesting. One I think is actually likely. 2 more wishes than anything else. First trade idea, I think Miami receives Dallas Keuchel. We eat $9 million. We eat about half his contract. We also send Michael Adolfo and the Yerminator, and in return, we receive the left-handed pitcher Braxton Garrett. He's their 12th prospect. More going to be a bullpen arm than anything else in his career, but he's going to be a really good bridge guy, I think. And Miami has a lot of young pitchers. They need a vet in that kind of in that room, and I think that's where Dallas's value comes from more than his pitching itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would make that trade all day. I think you're going to have trouble getting anyone to take Dallas Keuchel off your books because he was, not very good last year, and even the year before. His ERA was great, but his all those underlying numbers with advanced stats were not very good. So he seemed kind of destined to kind of get lit up a little bit this year, and I think it caught up to him. Michael Adolfo is a very interesting prospect because when they got him, he was pretty highly touted. My understanding from what I've read about him is he's got a cannon for an arm in right field, and he's got a ton of power. And he's been injured a lot in the minors, so he hasn't really had a opportunity to really show himself until this year. I think he stayed healthy throughout the season, and I think he went from AA to AAA, and he was crushing it in AA, and he was crushing the ball in AAA. And I know that there's a lot more home runs in Charlotte for whatever reason because of that. Whatever unique details are with that stadium. But I'm kind of interested. I don't know if I want to trade him unless I get like a pro, like a seasoned guy, because I think he might be your right fielder to start. He might get a shot in right field next year.
So when I was looking at him and kind of looking at, because I got another trade in here with another little right fielder the White Sox have, they got a couple really good right field prospects. The question at hand for them is, do they sign a guy and then kind of run out of room for their other outfield prospects? Because with Luis and Eloy, they're set for, you can count on for the next 6 years, right? So it really comes down to the right field if they're going to sign someone or they're going to bring somebody up. I think it really comes down to 2 guys, Michael Adolfo and Yoeli Cespedes. Although Yoeli's listed at like 6 foot, but really he's like 5'8". The guy's a lot smaller than they say. But yeah, man. I mean, Adolfo's looking at his numbers. I mean, OBP of 450 this year in the minors. That is incredible. Would that translate to the majors? Probably not. More probably at like 390. But still, the thing that the White Sox lack at the bottom of the lineup is a hard out. I mean, you look at that Houston Astros series, and the 7-8-9 were basically free resets for that Astros pitching staff.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, their 1 through 9 in Houston is just like everyone's a tough out, and it's incredible to see a team that's just so complete. And it's frustrating to watch when you're, rooting for the team that's playing against them, because there's no easy outs, and they just keep getting hits and they keep working counts. I think Adolfo also, I think he has a pretty high strike K rate in the minors. So I would imagine that's probably not going to get better in the pros. And we already got a ton of guys like that in our lineup, or in the White Sox lineup. I don't know, kind of just interested to see kind of what happens with him. I know he's kind of getting close to, I think he's running out of options or something like that. Because he's been in the system for a while. He's just been injured so often. But he's still young. I think they got him when he was like 18 or 17, and he's getting old now.
He has one option left going into the season. So it's kind of a do or die. That also is what kind of puts him at risk of being moved. Is, do they put him up and he tanks and his trade value tanks and it's kind of a lost prospect? Or do you take the risk of bringing him up and him actually crushing it, and then, you found another dime in the rough in your minor league system that you didn't expect, like a Gavin Sheets, kind of situation that I'm not, obviously my Magic 8 Ball broke last week, so I'm unfortunately able to tell the future right now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You gotta get that thing fixed, man.
So, second trade option here. This is more of a dream than anything else. This probably won't happen, but NL team looking for a closer, because Kenley Jansen is getting a little up there in age and blew a couple leads here in the playoffs. Dodgers receive Craig Kimbrell and Jake Berger, and the Sox receive Brusdar Graterol in return. Right-handed bullpen guy drafted by the Twins, could probably be a starter. Throws 101 mile per hour sinker.
I mean, I think I would make that trade. Jake Berger is kind of blocked by Mancada at third base, and I don't even know if he's going to ever be able to be a third baseman in the majors. He lost weight, and he was, looks a little more nimble than he had, but I don't know if he's a DH, and we have, the White Sox have plenty of those guys to fill out the system. As much as I like Jake Berger, great story. I was pumped when they drafted him, and he had those horrible injuries, and he's come back, and he came up and hit, which was pretty cool. I think I saw his first career home run actually, when I was at the game. I thought I would make that trade, and also get Kimbrell out of here. I hope that their strategy to trade Kimbrell doesn't end up with him being on the roster again, unless they're gonna alternate closers, which they should have done, or have Liam, pitch in more clutch situations, like heart of the order's coming up in the seventh inning. You send in Liam to shut it down, and then have Kimbrell close, because we tried the experiment and it seemed like it really didn't work with Kimbrell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that guy. Something broke on him. He's a head case, man. I don't think he can I just don't think he can pitch in the eighth inning.
I think historically he's also been bad after being traded.
If you looking back at it, he was bad with the Cubs in 2020 in that first year. Yeah, I don't know if he got used to the routine or the stadium or whatever that might be, but I mean, World Series window, that's $16 million you need off the roster when you got to build you got a huge gap at second base and you got a gap at right field. That $16 million. It sucks to see a failed Kimbrell trial, but when you can win a World Series, it's time to be aggressive and make some moves, I think.
Yeah, too many, right field and second base. We need players in there. And
And
it can't be Leary. It can't be Danny Mendick. Not on a World Series team. Like you look at. I mean, even the Braves, they're 1 through 9. They're all hitters, and they got tons of injuries that they're dealing with.
Braves without Ronald Acuna in the World Series, possibly winning this thing, should be a terrifying thought for the rest of the NL East for the rest of however long that team sticks together. And last one, which I think is actually the most likely, kind of situation for the White Sox. It could either be a 3-team trade, but I think it's going to be more of a 2-parter. A team historically known for trying to get guys and fix them. You send Kimbrel and Matthew Thompson to the Philadelphia Phillies in return for Bryson Scott, a really, really good second base shortstop prospect. Number 2 on his board and in the top 100. You turn around, you send Bryson Scott, Yoqueli Cespedes, and Jared Kelly to D-backs for Ketel Marte, who is at heart a top-end second baseman in the majors. Take the money you saved on Kimbrel, go get Castellanos.
Anything with Castellanos ending up on the White Sox, I'm all in favor of. I loved him in Detroit because he used to murder the White Sox, and I think I would imagine Detroit kind of regrets letting go of him because they had a little in the tank this year. They had a good second half. Not unlike the White Sox, who've had a couple decent second halves. During the rebuild that kind of gave you false hope. But I would love Castellanos. I would love Marte because he can play everywhere, just like he's, like Leary Garcia on steroids. He can play everywhere. He can play everywhere in the field. He can play the outfield. He can hit. I would definitely make that deal. I don't know if that would play out the way you think it will. I think you might have to give up a little bit more to get Marte, like empty the entire farm to get him. But it might even be worth it because, we're, as a White Sox fan, we want to see the World Series. We want to be in there. First round exits we've done it 2 years in a row now. Now it's time to move on to the big fish.
And well, with Marte, he is kind of like Leary on steroids, but he is historically bad at center field. He's like a -4.5 runs saved at center, but at second base, he's a +15. And that is a massive jump, in second base production at the White Sox. Where actually I think is the most realistic possibility for the White Sox this offseason, kind of looking at things if they were to actually go after Ketel. And he batted .318. I mean, if you looked at a lineup of Tim, Ketel, Luis, Eloy, Grandal, Jose, Sheets and Vaughn in that DH, lefty-righty, Moncada, and then Castellanos. I mean, if you're a pitching staff, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that lineup 1 through 9. You got to fill it out somehow. Day right fielder, you can't just rotate those first base DH guys, all year. And I think, honestly, of the two positions, I think the right fielder is going to probably be more important.
I think they definitely go after Castellanos before they go over Marcus Semien. If you're looking at free agents, guys we're not going to trade for. My fear with Marcus Semien was this 2019 and 2021 a flash in the pan, kind of Adam Dunn situation where they come off a year or two where they're great, they get to the south side and they just completely fall apart because to pay somebody like Mark Semien, who's going to want $30 million a year, if he falls apart, that's not a contract you're going to be able to get off your books.
Yeah, and I mean he's getting a little long in the tooth these days. Marcus Semien is. I liked Semien when he was on the White Sox. His glove was not great here on the south side, and he's anyone saw the hitting develop the way it did, but he's a stud, and I would love for the White Sox to make a run at him and Castellanos. But if you're picking up those, or how they're going to handle that.
I mean, the start of it is you've got to get Kimbrel or Dallas off the books, right? Like that. If you're looking at the White Sox payroll, they're probably going to be max $170 million next year, which will be bottom top 10. But that, it's not like if they get rid of the Kimbrel money, they're not going to spend it, because that's money that when they made that trade, they're ready to spend this year. I think Castellanos is more realistic and more important for the White Sox to get somebody in right field that can play right field full time. How you get your second baseman at that point is kind of a toss-up, I think.
Sorry, I kind of lost connection there for the tail end of that, but yeah, you'll have to repeat what you said. I didn't hear it.
Wow, Matt, very professional. No, I
Not
think
my
right.
fault.
I think right field is more important for the White Sox moving forward. I think there's a lot of good, not great second baseman that you can go after. You could go after a Corey Seager. You could go get a Gavin Lux from the Dodgers. You could get somebody to play second. And just, I mean, anything's going to be an upgrade at second base, I think, from Caesar last year and the Danny Mendick show, which going to be sad to see that end. But right field is the just glaring hole right now that the White Sox have, I think, because they don't even really have anybody to bring up.
Yeah, right field's a power position, and we do have a ton of power through the lineup already. And I think you'll see the power numbers return from Moncada next year. So you don't necessarily need to get a 40 home run guy in right field or something like that. You can find just like a solid high on base guy, and I think that'll work too.
And the Eloy power numbers you could tell the Peck affected him even when he came back this year.
Yeah, I mean, you got Eloy, who's going to be probably crushing the ball next year. Luis Robert is like a whole new ball player. He was good before, and he's even better somehow just from opening up the stance. He's hitting like a Hall of Famer. Well, I'm very excited to see him play. And you just got power all over the lineup. I think Moncada's going to hit. I think you got Yasmani, he's going to hit. You got Abreu at first base. It's not like you need to find Hall of Fame power hitters at second and right field. You can just find some guys who are going to get on base.
Absolutely. I mean, that, kind of bringing back to the point that we talked about before, the bottom three for the White Sox was just brutal in the playoffs. And when you play teams like Houston, I mean, their bottom three, all they did was rack up a pitch count, which in turn kind of drove the pitching for the White Sox to kind of fall apart, the starting pitching.
Yep. They were getting high pitch counts and working counts and working walks. Like that's what murdered the Sox, is just so many walks by their starting pitching. They could not overcome that.
Yeah, game 4, Houston got their leadoff guy on every inning. Every inning they had. It didn't matter where the lineup was. So, I think that's going to wrap it up for the first edition of ChiSoxTalk. This offseason, I think Matt and I are probably going to go a few times a week, maybe twice a week or so. And then obviously when the season starts, kick in some bonus episodes. If you come across this on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. You can email us at ChiSoxTalk@gmail. And go White Sox, man. I'm excited about this team. They got a lot of promise. Just got to make the right moves this offseason.
Absolutely, yeah. Very excited for the future. I think we got some players that are, going to be in the league for as good hitters and professional hitters for a long time. So we have a very good core to work with, and most of the real important players are signed for 6-7 more years still, and interested to see kind of what happens with Andrew Vaughn and Jose Abreu moving forward, and kind of to see how, what they're going to do with that pitching staff and who they're going to bring back. I honestly hope they bring Rodon back and kind of just make sure that he's on a pitch count and not have him throw a no hitter. Even if he's up for a no hitter, you got to pull him in the 7th inning. Don't let him go long, because you got to make sure he makes it through the playoffs.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And I think next episode we should talk about what do they do with Andrew Vaughn? How do they work Jose Abreu into the lineup going forward, and including this year, and how to handle some of the arbitration guys, including including Lucas Giolito, and what his contract is going to look like for the White Sox, because he's kind of the I think he's kind of the keystone guy here moving forward for that pitching staff. Kind of the guy you're probably gonna be seeing here for a while. So, do you any parting thoughts to our viewers?
Yeah, if anyone ever ends up even seeing this and they want to, hop on and want to talk White Sox, I think we're happy to have, whoever wants to chat and, whatever. We love the White Sox. We love talking about them.
Absolutely, man. This is going to be a White Sox fan haven. Just everybody watch. Everyone watch. It's going to happen. What we're going to do whenever I get back to Chicago, we'll do game day parking lot shows. Just people passing by, have them on, man.
We'll just set up right next to Ozzy if he doesn't get hired by the Padres.
We'll just wherever they do that in the park, their little. We'll just set up a table next to it. Just steal audience.
We'll slam each other through it at the end.
Bills Mafia. Shout out Bills Mafia, folks. Alrighty. Thanks for watching White Sox or ChiSoxTalk, and go White Sox.
Go White Sox.